Story 1. Am I the a-hole for rolling my eyes at my ex's wife when she asked me for compassion? I, 33 female, broke up with the father of my 2 children, 11 male and 9 male, 7 years ago. We weren't married or anything, but our breakup was amicable, and we co-parented on good terms for a couple of years. Then he met his wife, and once I met her, things changed. It was clear she didn't like me, or the fact that X and I could get along. When we met, she called me the kid's other mom, implying she was the mom, and she glared daggers in my direction when I told her I was the other mom, but just the mom. She would call them her boys, and she said she was a boy mom whenever she was speaking to me. She tried to push my ex back and ordered all communication about them go through her instead of him, and when I refused, she told me I didn't have the right. Once that fight happened, she started sending me photo updates whenever X and her had a day out with the boys, or if they did anything with them for a significant amount of time. She'd text me anywhere from 3 to 5 photos and say she had a great day with her husband and her children. I saved all of that because I didn't like her attitude toward me. When I tried talking to my ex about it, he told me she was trying really hard to be good to the boys, and I needed to accept it and help her take on an active second mom role because they had trouble getting the boys bonded to her. I told him how she spoke to me wasn't acceptable, and he said it came from insecurity, and he felt like I was a big enough person to know that. While we were talking, she texted me saying I had no right to discuss her children with her husband. I showed X, and he told me it was just her being insecure. But this was the breakdown in our co-parenting relationship, because I didn't appreciate the fact I was supposed to let his wife walk all over me and push me out eventually, because it was clear she wanted that. She'd get into a snit anytime she wasn't given full parental access, which means when she wasn't able to add her family and friends to the school pickup list, and she wasn't able to change which pediatrician they went to see. X never fought me too hard on that stuff, but she sure as hell tried to. She also hated that she couldn't take them out of state to visit her relatives whenever she wanted. She introduced herself as the kid's mom every single time we went to a PT conference, or she showed up at a medical appointment for our youngest, who has some health issues. We actually returned to court twice over this. X and her were told by the judge that she was not the mother of the children, and she did not have the right to impersonate me when it came to school or medical settings. The judge also warned that the court would not take kindly to any alienation of the children. X's wife tried to claim I was engaging in it, and that the proof was in the kids not calling her mom, even though they were very young when she became their mom. The judge asked for proof and claimed that wasn't proof. The second time, there was a documented incident of her saying she was the kids' real mom in front of them, and the judge restricted certain things she can do. She can't do drop-offs of the kids, and she can't show up to appointments or school meetings that require both parents. That decision pissed her off immensely, but the good thing is she contacts me far less now, and that works for me. I try to make something like co-parenting work with my ex, and I focus on the kids. But apparently, X and her have been through some stuff. She found out she can't have biological children, and they were rejected for adoption. The boys have expressed that they don't like her, which I knew a little about because X requested permission for family therapy for them, which I consented to because we already had the boys in individual therapy. But therapy is not helping to foster a closer relationship. She came to me when they had the boys and info dumped all of this onto me at the front door to my house. I almost closed the door on her, which she noticed, but kept talking about her issues, and then told me to have some compassion for her and at least hear her out and try to help since we're both the mothers of the boys. I rolled my eyes when she asked me for compassion. I didn't even try to hide it. And I had no sympathy for her. None. I can't say I'm upset that my kids don't like her seeing, as I think it would open up the avenue for her to try harder to push me out and would possibly open them up to being alienated against me. She got into another snit at the door and I told her to leave. She was insulting me, but I moved away from the door so I couldn't hear her. She followed up with 10 texts that night, and then my ex told me I owed his wife an apology for rolling my eyes at her. Now maybe I was wrong to roll my eyes at her like that. Maybe I could have been more mature. So I'll ask, am I the a-hole? Now for the comments. Not the a-hole. Your husband's new wife is a few Fruit Loops short of a full bowl of cereal. She is not playing with a full deck of cards. Her mental elevator stalls at the 4th floor. How was she so rude and nasty towards you, then basically begs you to get your kids to like her? Whatever that means, I don't know. I assume she wanted to be placated, meaning you tell them to be nice and treat her the same way they do you, which is insane in itself. Pretty much exactly what you said. She wanted them to treat her like they treat me, only she probably expected and hoped they'd treat her better. Nope, not the a-hole. She spent years trying to erase you as their mother, and now that things aren't going her way, she suddenly wants your compassion? Nah. She made her bed. You don't owe her anything, especially not an apology for an eye roll. She's lucky you didn't laugh in her face. Agree. Also, the reason your sons probably do not like her is because of how she has treated them and you. Based on the "I'm your real mom" comment alone, she's likely been overbearing and tried to force something. And no child likes the idea of their parent being pushed out. Another commenter mentioned getting a protective order against her, and I wholeheartedly agree. She's proven over the years that she's not the most stable and has shown up at your door. I'm afraid it's only going to escalate from here, and you're going to need to protect you and your sons. So I'd also consider court, where she's never left alone with them. You are the only mother of the boys. She is clearly insane. Why else would they get rejected for adoption? She's cuckoo. You need a Ring doorbell camera for next time she comes knocking at your door. You don't owe anyone any apologies. The boys don't like her, are likely scared of her and her weird antics. She wants you out of the picture, but that is never going to happen. She has no rights to your children at all. Could you request with the judge that she not be there when he has visitations with the kids? The judge won't order that. There are rare times it can happen, but we're not at the correct level of severe behavior to get a judge to go along with it. But I will monitor things carefully going forward. Story 2. Am I the a-hole for refusing to help my neighbor after what he did to my cat? I, 32 male, live in a quiet neighborhood where everyone mostly keeps to themselves. I moved here 5 years ago after getting a remote job that allowed me to live anywhere. It was peaceful, and I liked it that way, until I met my next-door neighbor, Greg, 50-ish male, name changed. From the start, Greg gave me weird vibes. He was overly friendly in a way that felt forced, always asking me personal questions about my work, finances, and family. I kept my interactions with him minimal, just polite nods and occasional small talk. Then, a year ago, my cat, Mochi, went missing. She was an indoor cat, but she loved sitting by the window. One evening, I left the back door slightly open while bringing in groceries, and by the time I realized it, she was gone. I searched everywhere. I put up posters, walked the streets at night calling her name, and even checked security camera footage from my house. But nothing. It devastated me. Weeks later, I was walking past Greg's house when I noticed something. Inside his window was a cat that looked exactly like Mochi. Same fur pattern, same bright green eyes. My heart started pounding. I knocked on his door, trying to stay calm. When he answered, I pointed at the window. "Greg, that's my cat." He laughed. "No, it's not. I found her outside weeks ago. She didn't have a collar, so I kept her." I told him I had proof. Photos, vet records, and videos of her playing in my house. He shrugged. "Doesn't matter. She's mine now." Then he shut the door in my face. I called the cops, but they said it was a civil matter. I tried reasoning with him, but he refused to budge. One night, I even thought about just breaking in and taking her back, but I knew that could get me arrested. I had to let it go. Months passed, and every time I saw Mochi in his window, it killed me. Then, last week, Greg had a heart attack. He was found on his front porch, barely conscious, and was rushed to the hospital. His family isn't close to him, so the neighborhood pitched in to check on his house, feed his dog, and handle his mail. Someone suggested we start a fundraiser to help with his medical bills. And then it happened. Greg's sister, who flew in from out of state, knocked on my door. She looked exhausted. "Greg said you work from home and don't have a family here. Would you be able to help take care of his pets until he's back?" I looked her dead in the eyes and said, "No." She seemed taken aback. "I know he can be difficult, but this is a life or death situation. He has no one else to rely on." I said, "That man stole my cat. And when I begged for her back, he laughed at me. So no, I won't be helping him." She turned red and muttered something about me being heartless before storming off. Since then, a few neighbors have been cold toward me, and I heard one of them say, "It's just a cat." I don't care. If Greg recovers and asks for my help, I'll give him the same answer he gave me when I begged for my cat back. But still, am I the a-hole? Now for the comments. Should have said yes, got your cat back and rehomed the dog. When they came looking, what pets? Honestly, I hadn't even considered that at first because I was so angry. But now that a few of my friends are saying the same thing, I'm kind of reconsidering it. Maybe this is the best way to finally get Mochi back, and I might keep the dog as well. Perhaps tell each of your neighbors, whenever they are snotty, what he did. Succinctly but bluntly. "Greg stole me cat. He knew that it was my cat. He stole her, and when I went to him, he laughed in my face." People hate confrontations. Have some fun with that. Bullies love controlling the narrative. Don't let him do that. If you see Greg's sister, tell her to inform Greg that you hope the cat crap on him as he lay helpless and alone after the heart attack. That will achieve less than the above advice, but will be more satisfying still, especially if she follows your request. Story 3. Am I the a-hole for refusing to leave my cat with my parents for my friend's birthday? I, 24 female, have been friends with a girl that I'll call Haley, 24 female, since high school. For a few years, we didn't get to see each other much because we went to college on opposite sides of the country, but I moved to her city last year, so we really got to catch up with each other. Haley will be turning 25 in a week, so we, along with some other friends, started planning her birthday party a while ago. She wanted to have a rather big party so that she could invite all of her friends' groups, but we couldn't find anywhere to have it, and she lives in a small apartment. I, on the other hand, have a house. It's not that big, but it's big enough to host the party. So our friends started bringing it up and said that we could throw the party at my house. I was fine with that. I did find it kinda weird that they were the one to bring it up, because I personally wouldn't suggest throwing a party in someone else's house unless they were the one to suggest it, but it didn't really matter. So I said yes. My only conditions were that the party didn't turn into chaos, that no one got too drunk, and that they helped me clean up the next day. Everyone was fine with that, so we agreed on it. Yesterday, Haley sent me a text to tell me how many people would be there. That's when she asked me if I could get my cat out of the house for the night, because one of her friends from college is allergic. I told her that I didn't have anywhere else to leave him, but that I could make sure that he stayed upstairs while we were downstairs. I also told her that my cat is very shy and easily scared, so there's no way he'd get close to her friend. She then told me that I could just leave him with my parents and then go back to get him the next day. My parents' house is about an hour-and-a-half drive, and there's just no way I'd drive a total of 6 hours in one weekend. I told her that it really wasn't possible for me to leave him with my parents, but that he would be locked upstairs and I'd deep clean the house to make sure there's no cat hair anywhere. I also told her that she should have told me earlier and I could have found another solution, but now the party is in less than a week. She told me that I wasn't being helpful and that I was ruining her party, and she's been complaining about me to a lot of our mutual friends. I told her that I had no obligation to let her do the party at my house, and I kindly accepted to do so. So the least she could do was to be grateful. She hasn't replied since. Most of our friends agree with me, but I also feel a bit guilty. I don't know if I'm in the wrong here, and I don't know what else I can do. Now for the comments. Not the a-hole. If her friend is so allergic, you can't clean the house well enough anyway. Oops. Sounds like the only safe thing to do is move the party. You just can't take the responsibility and wouldn't be able to live with the guilt if anything happened. If she really cares about her friend's safety, she understands. Anybody starts giving you crap, stick to that story. Surely they're not suggesting risking somebody's health or even life. I love this reply. You offered several solutions and she rejected them. Time to host it at a place that has never allowed pets. Absolutely not the a-hole. You're not ruining anything. Haley sounds entitled as fuff. You're doing her a massive favor by hosting this whole thing at your place. Like, who asks for someone's cat to be evicted from their own house for a party? What's next? You gotta repaint the walls for the aesthetic? Driving 3 hours round trip to dump your cat at your parents' place? Yeah, no. Your compromise of locking him upstairs and deep cleaning is super reasonable. It's her friend's allergy, not your responsibility to turn your life upside down for it. Haley's acting like you owe her party planner-level services when you're already providing the venue. You set boundaries, which is more than fair. If she's complaining, that's on her. You're not a bad friend. You're just not a doormat. Enjoy chilling with your cat while they deal with their drama. Not the a-hole. One of her friends suggested you host the party at your house. You generously agreed. Your friend knows you have a cat, and less than a week before tells you to get rid of your cat for the party because one friend is allergic, then gets mad at you because you won't drive 6 hours in addition to hosting her party to accommodate her. Then she starts trash-talking you behind your back to mutual friends and telling you that you weren't being helpful? 1. She's not your friend because friends don't treat each other like this. 2. I think it's time to tell her that you won't be hosting her party. Not the a-hole. You're not in the wrong here. If you deep clean the house and leave the cat upstairs, the friend should be fine. If they're as allergic as your friend is implying, though, deep cleaning wouldn't be enough. It would be helpful, but her allergies would likely still be triggered. And the friend just shouldn't come. Either that, or help find a new venue for the party. It's your house, and you've tried to be accommodating. You're nicer than I am. If someone else decided there would be a party at my house, I probably wouldn't agree, let alone deep clean. If your efforts aren't enough, maybe it's time to just not host anymore. Thank you for listening. If you like the video, consider like and subscribe. If you want more stories like these, turn on your notification to receive the latest stories.